life completely, and I'm on a road of recovery where I feel I'm more alive than I've been in over 10 years.
I'm just about 79 years old. I don't have a pain in my body. I don't have any restrictions on my capabilities.
I can do it all again. I feel like it's been given back to me, and that's what I'm thankful for.
We're seeing people come back to more natural ways. Now people really look more and more for natural alternatives to help build their health. Every time a patient comes into my office, the first thing I do is I really listen to why they're there in the first place. I really want to hear what they've been through and the challenges that they've had with their health. And as I listen to them, I start to ask why their health went in that direction. Most of our healthcare system is targeting symptom care, and that's just turning off your symptom with medication. But in wellness care, we're looking for the underlying cause, and that's the challenge.
Mostly it stays here.
You'll never have a chance to repair the problem if you don't look deeper than the symptom and find out what went wrong in the first place.
At age 17, I had lost a lot of weight. I actually had 28 bumps on my scalp. We went to my pediatric doctor. He took one look at me, he saw my symptoms, and immediately he said, "You need to get a biopsy." And then they found the blast cells in my spinal fluid and my bone marrow. Within a week's time, we had the answer. I was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia.
Approximately 9 years ago, I started having chest pain, and it progressed to the point where I, as a nurse, knew something wasn't right. I figured, at my age, this is too young to be having a heart attack, but that was my fear. I was working with a cardiologist at the time, so I called him on the phone, and with my symptoms and everything, he told me to get to the hospital. They treated me like I was having a heart attack, ended up in intensive care, and they had diagnosed me with coronary artery spasms at that point.
I started getting weaker, and my complexion was starting to get gray. I had an infection in my throat that made it difficult to speak, and I was losing weight. It was just a temporary thing, I thought, and I started getting pains in my stomach. And so I ended up in the hospital. That's when I discovered that I had a very low white cell count. I was diagnosed with hairy cell leukemia.
They started me with steroids and chemo immediately, and the first week I was in the hospital, and it was awful. That's the best way I can put it. They told me I needed to have radiation treatment as well. So they treated my cranium, my skull, as well as my spine.
I became extremely anemic, and I started developing migraines. My body was just kind of like falling apart. They felt that we really had to fix the anemia and, build your body back up, do the pain management, get back on heart medication, and try a new combination of medications for my migraines. So it was all basically medication.
I was told that I need to take chemotherapy treatments to try to conquer the disease. And I said I was not interested in doing that because I could see what happens to other people, that sometimes the side effects kills them where the cancer wouldn't.
My junior year, I actually went off of the chemotherapy. After I stopped being under the constant care of doctors, I started having every health problem you could possibly imagine. I was 21 years old. I started getting hypertension. I was getting kidney stones. I had chronic infection. I ended up going on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. I just started to resign myself to being this sick adult.
I did nothing as I knew life before. I could not function as a mom like I wanted to. I was very inadequate. Got to the point where I had to say, you know what, you can't hug me like that. Or you can't run down the stairs, or you guys have got to be quiet. And that's no way to be a mom, or for them to be children.
When it comes to emergency room and trauma, we're really by far leaders in the world. But when it comes to overall health and degenerative diseases, and things like diabetes, cancer, arthritis, hepatitis. We're not handling those problems very well in this country. Does anybody know how we rank in chronic illness and disease according to the World Health Organization, which is like the United Nations of Healthcare? 37th. 37th as a country. We're mostly managing our pain and suffering. There are medications for any of those conditions, but they're not turning the condition around. They're allowing you to live as long as you can without that much pain and suffering.
When I was sitting in front of a desk one day, the right side of my body started feeling numb. I had witnessed my father having a stroke, so I knew what a stroke was, and I knew that's what was happening to me. In a very small number of cases, when the brain is radiated, it has this severe allergic reaction and swells. So they're telling me that the treatment that I had to save my life is now, 10 years later, almost killing me.
When I got home from the hospital, I started taking all kinds of concoctions, including shark cartilage and essential oils and anything that I thought might benefit my problem. I think I had the thing under control, but then I ended in the hospital with a relapse and a pneumonia on top of it.
It was a Saturday morning and the pain started and it just intensified. The only thing that happened that time that was different is I also started getting a coronary spasm in combination with my migraine. And I can deal with one pain at a time, but I can't deal with the second pain. It was to the point where I prayed that if this pain doesn't go away, I just want to die. I mean, that's how intense the pain would be.
They told me antibiotics that they have has no effect against my pneumonia and that I will not leave the hospital alive. So they called my family together and told them that.
I felt completely hopeless. I was so tired of dealing with health problems. I was 28 years old, and since the time I was 17, I was always on medication. I was always on health care. I was always doing something to get myself well, and nothing was working. It just kept getting worse.
Most of my patients are frustrated with the results that they've been getting in their journey to reclaim their health. So people are forced to look for other ways to manage their health concerns. They're asking the question, is it possible for me to turn the clock back and go to the point in my life where I wasn't sick? Could be 5 years ago or 10 years ago, at that point where their bodies hadn't broken down yet. Well, the science world, not the medical world, is really pointing towards looking very deep in the body at the cellular level. And when you look at that level, you start to see that if the person is ever going to change their health, they have to address helping the smallest unit of their body get healthy again.
Normal cells perform many functions essential to maintaining good health. They must be able to take in nutrition and eliminate waste or toxins. Normal cells must defend themselves from intruders like unfriendly bacteria, fungi, viruses, and free radicals, and repair the damage done by them. In addition, cells must work together as a team, communicating with other cells to achieve optimal organ and immune system function. Research has already proven our cells need certain essential nutrients, 26 different vitamins, 72 or more trace minerals, numerous fatty acids, and amino acids. Since our bodies don't produce these, we must get them from our diet. Recently, scientists have discovered that there are at least 8 sugars, called monosaccharides, that our cells also need for optimal function. Inside cells, these sugars combine with protein strands and form complex structures called glycoforms. The exterior of a healthy cell is covered with a dense forest of these glycoforms. Glycoforms can exchange